Hello, gang. Welcome back to the channel. Jayhuahua here, and it's another Football Manager 2023 experiment. And today, what we've got is the Premier League teams, off camera, the Premier League teams, the Vanarama National League teams. They've all got stadiums, and we've gone, I can't really do it as a hand gesture. We swapped the stadiums. What crap intro that was. Stay in. Not doing another one. So here we go. Yeah, the max capacity in the Premier League is Chelsea at the Technique Stadium in Chesterfield, 10,500 capacity, whereas York Road for Leicester, capacity of 550. A lot of these stadiums are not suitable for the Premier League, so there's going to be a lot of new stadiums being built during this experiment. And in terms of the Vanarama National League, well, here are all the teams, and they've got the stadiums here. Solihull Moors have looked at with Old Trafford with the nearly 75,000 capacity. Unfortunately, Barnet, Gateshead, Southend and Oldham had the highest capacity stadiums in the Vanarama National League. Therefore, unfortunately, they were the four teams to miss out on this switcheroo sort of thing, because there's 24 and 20, it doesn't go. Yeah, so I suppose I could have put some of them on a stadium share, but I didn't bother. Why? I didn't think of it until now, and I've already simmed 100 years, so this is what's happening, gang. Yeah. So we're going to jump forward 1 year, because the Premier League teams are going to need to build new stadiums, right? Surely you'd expect. But would they be able to afford it without the gate receipt revenue income that they are used to with their high wages? I don't know. What's going to happen? It's interesting, isn't it? Is the status quo of the Premier League going to change? Or I think some of the bigger teams are probably going to survive, like City and everything, because they've got a lot of money. I think some of the lesser teams, like Leicester, I'm going to call you out again, because we're on 550. Leicester are probably not going to be able to fund much. Therefore, could end up going down the leagues. We will see. So, without further ado, we're going to jump through 1 year to see what happens first of all. So, just in terms of who went down, it was Leicester, Crystal Palace and Southampton. Leicester, who I did call out, who are still at York Road with a capacity of 4,500. They've increased the capacity by 9 times. Fair play to them. Newcastle, unfortunate not to get European football, finishing 7th. Arsenal getting Europa League football, finishing in 8th. In terms of the stadiums, Arsenal have moved to Wembley. Manchester United are back at Old Trafford. Tottenham are at the Millennium Stadium. Liverpool back at Anfield. Man City at the Etihad. Newcastle St James's Park. Aston Villa. So it's just gone back to normal. It's literally just gone back to normal-ish. Molineux at Wolves. Brentford at Selhurst Park. Burnley Turf Moor. Well, yeah, they were in the Championship. The Technique Stadium, Chelsea, they're still there. Chelsea's still there. Leeds are still at theirs. Fulham, West Ham, Bournemouth and Forest are still there. In terms of the Vanarama National League then, Solihull Moors are still at Old Trafford, so they're sharing that with Manchester United. Altrincham sharing Villa Park with Villa. Scunthorpe sharing the Etihad with Manchester City. Who's at Anfield? Wrexham at St Mary's, who went up, and someone moved out of Anfield. Have Liverpool genuinely kicked them out? Boreham Wood at the Brentford Community Stadium, gone down. Maidstone, who are at Anfield. Maidstone still at Anfield have been relegated, as have Torquay at St James's Park. And Wealdstone, the City Ground, 30,000 capacity there, the Nottingham Forest Stadium. So yes. Wow. Okay, very interesting. Right, well, I did not expect the Premier League teams to just move back into their own stadiums. Well, to be fair, Tottenham are now travelling to Wales, the Millennium Stadium. Arsenal have got Wembley. It's just United, City, Liverpool, Newcastle and Villa and Everton and Brighton and Wolves. Yeah, so half. All right then. Fine, whatever. We're going to jump forward 10 years now to see what's going on in 10 years, obviously. So 9 points have been deducted from Everton, who have gone into administration and finished on 12 points. Everton have done awful. The Bramley-Moore Dock Stadium, the capacity of 52,888. The Bramley-Moore Dock Stadium was built in 2024. So what they must have done is they must have just been renting Goodison Park back. They've bought a new stadium and it's sent them into financial ruin. Interesting. Man City have been winning the league pretty much every year. Man City and Liverpool have won it since the start of the experiment. Let's have a look at the stadiums then. Arsenal still at Wembley. Old Trafford is still the home of Manchester United. However, Man City have built their Pep Guardiola Arena in 2028. And he is still there. Pep Guardiola has been in charge for 15, 16 years, and he's only gone and got a stadium named after him. The Tottenham Stadium, built in 2027. They built another one in London. The Bobby Moore Park for West Ham. Aston Villa have got the Paul McGrath Park, also built in 2027. Liverpool are in the Steven Gerrard Stadium, built in 2029. As we've seen, the Bramley Moore dock has sent Everton into financial ruin. Newcastle at St James's Park, still there. Chelsea have now got the Chelsea Stadium. Where's your originality, Chelsea? No creativity. At least these guys have been naming them after players. Chelsea have just named the Chelsea Stadium. The Leeds Stadium, there we go. Leeds have now backed Chelsea up with their own incompetence for creativity. Wolves still at Molineux. Brentford still at Selhurst Park. Southampton at the Ted Bates Arena. Crystal Palace at the Crystal Palace Stadium. And who else? Leicester at the right. We're going to go for it, but you can settle down in the comments. Vichai Srivadanaprabha. Srivadanaprabha. Do you know what? That's not bad. Phonetically, I think I've nailed that. Apologies if I've not, but yeah, we've gone for it. Could have bottled that. Chose not to. 2026, that stadium was built. Fulham have got the Fulham Stadium. Do you know what? I'm disappointed at the names of some of these stadiums. Name it after a player. Name it after the club. Fulham Stadium. Pathetic. Swansea.com Stadium. Is that real? It is. Swansea.com Stadium. It was named the Liberty Stadium. This has taken a turn, this experiment. Formerly known as the Liberty Stadium. Why was the naming? During its construction, a variety of names were suggested for it. Most commonly used was White Rock Stadium, after the copper works of the same name which existed on the site historically. However, White Rock was only used as a temporary name during its construction, yada 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 yada. While sponsors were being searched for, it was called New Stadium Swansea. On the 9th of August 2021, the stadium was renamed Swansea.com Stadium following a 10-year contract being agreed with Swansea.com, a business which shares director Martin Morgan with Swansea City. There you go then. Brian Clough Arena for Nottingham Forest. Eddie Howe Arena for Bournemouth, built in 2027. Yeah, so it took about 5 years. Most of the teams have built stadiums. Anyone down in League One? No. In terms of the Vanarama National League, Chesterfield are now in the Chesterfield Stadium. Eastleigh are in the Eastleigh Stadium. They've all moved out of the big stadiums. Well, Scunthorpe are still in the Etihad. Vanarama North. Go on, Scunthorpe. Dorking still at Goodison. Absolutely. I guess maybe the travel to the stadium is a problem. Yeah, the Bill Williams Park for Maidstone, so they're not at Anfield anymore. So, yeah, no recent fixtures at Anfield. So, yeah, mad. Right, well, so clubs have had to buy new stadiums, essentially, and that's what's happened. So some of the clubs are going to be in financial ruin. We've just seen Everton, who've been docked points for going into administration. All the Vanarama national teams can't afford to travel to these big stadiums, so they've left them behind. So, yeah, I think more stadiums will be built. I can't believe United haven't built Sir Alex Ferguson Arena or something. But I digress. Right, well, we'll just see how the status quo changes of the leagues as we go forward. Let's jump forward. I'll go another 30 years, 2066. Let's really get into the meat of this experiment. So in terms of the English Premier Division, Norwich City have just won it. Norwich City are the current Premier Division champions, and wow. Okay, straight away I've noticed there's no Man United in the Premier League. With a lot to unpack here. Norwich current champions, past winners, Tottenham have won quite a few. It's been basically City and Liverpool for the best part of 2 decades, and then most recently Arsenal won one, Tottenham have won a few, Liverpool won one, and Norwich, out of nowhere. The English Premier Division competition reputation has slipped to second. That's probably because of all the financial peril that teams have been in. In terms of the stadiums then, Arsenal still at Wembley. Chelsea have got the Frank Lampard Stadium. Year built 2055, so they built another stadium. They weren't content with the Chelsea Stadium. They want the Frank Lampard Stadium. We can go for Frank Lampard then. Barely managed anyone. It was just his Chelsea playing days that has sorted him out there. Everton are back in the Premier League from financial meltdown. Manchester United still at Old Trafford. How have they got relegated then? They've got plenty of money in the bank. Wow, they finished bottom of the Premier League, then they bounced back and went up via the playoffs. And then they've just come bottom, and they've just finished 4th in the Championship, and they've lost in the playoff final to Stoke. Wrexham, here we go. Wrexham are in the Championship. Go on, Wrexham. But that's impressive that Norwich have just won the Premier League. I'm shocked by it. How have Norwich been doing? Oh, so they've been steadily climbing for the last 15 years. They got into the Premier League. They've been mid-table for about a decade. And in the last 5 years, they've managed to push on and get European football and stay there. Fourth, fifth, and then bang, they've won. But I'll be honest with you, on 74 points, that's a low win. That's a low points total to win the Premier League by. Man City went unbeaten here, doing an invincible season. 7 draws, 31 wins, 100 points. Just scrolling back just to see if 74 points would have won the league any other season. And I'm back here in the 2030s, and the answer is no. Basically, 80s is minimum. Yeah, all the way back. So this is the lowest. The current season is the lowest points total to win the Premier League that there has ever been in this save game. Man City down in 10th, then you're getting Conference League football. So with the risk of this rumbling on, I think we've established what happens. Basically, teams just build new stadiums willy-nilly. And teams move out of stadiums because they can't afford the upkeep, I guess. Because they've not got the fans coming in, so it doesn't warrant having a stadium that big. Disappointing. I thought the big stadiums might have helped the teams out, but it is what it is. So that being said, I'm going to jump forward through to the end of the experiment and do a big full roundup of all competitions and winners, losers, and all that jazz. So yeah, let's jump forward. So it's 21-24, and I've come and looked at the Premier League. They are currently the best league in the world. Barnsley, Watford, and Hull have gone down. Manchester United are back in the Premier League. Man City have just finished 12th. Chelsea have got Europa League football along with Stoke. Newcastle, Tottenham, Norwich is still there in Champions League qualification places. Runner-up for West Ham, but the winners are Southampton, and they have been for the past 7 years. And then and to look at the last winners, well, it's been Southampton and West Ham who've been up there. Coventry City finishing 3rd, 13th the most recent season. Wolves have had a bit of an era of domination as well. Southampton, Wolves, Man City still winning the odd one. Liverpool back here. Liverpool won a hell of a lot since we were last here. Norwich won a few more. So let's have a look at Norwich. They've got 2 Champions Leagues to the name, 2062 and 2069. Nice. Them are the domestic leagues. Unfortunately, Norwich, despite their dominance, they've actually have slipped out of the Premier League on 3 occasions. Twice they bounced straight back, their classic Norwich style. Once they were there for, 6 years? But do you know what? Overall, they've done really well. 2 Champions Leagues, few Premier Leagues. Fair play, Norwich City. Wolves with 7 Champions Leagues. West Ham with 2. And Southampton, surely. Again, they've also got 7 Champions Leagues. While we're here then, we will look at the stadiums just to see. Pep Guardiola Arena still for Man City. The Carlos Cristaldo Stadium for Liverpool. 100,000 capacity. The Marcus Liebherr for Southampton. The Wolves Stadium for Wolves. Tottenham Stadium for Tottenham. Man United still at Old Trafford. The Frank Lampard Stadium at Chelsea. Bobby Moore Park. Gordon Banks Stadium at Stoke. Newcastle still at St James's Park. Yeah, not a lot really to change there. Arsenal in the Championship at Wembley. Aston Villa, Leeds and Everton all in the Championship as well. Oh, Swansea have moved out the Swansea.com stadium into the Swansea Stadium. They've dropped the .com. So in terms of Champions Leagues then, as we've seen, quite a few English winners. Southampton, Wolves, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Yeah, PSG winning a few here. Any other untoward English teams? Liverpool won 5 in a row. Wolves came runner-up 7 times in 8 years. 8 times in 10 years. Wolves, how? They've won the Champions League 7 times. 1, 2, 3, yeah. But they've come runner-up 11 times. Look at that for a run. It pains me to see. And then we're getting back into sort of present-day territory here, so not a lot really to see. In terms of the Europa League, we'll have a quick look down. Stoke have come run up twice in a row. They have won it, so have Leicester. Newcastle, Tottenham a few times. West Ham. Yeah. Much of a muchness with the Europa League. I'm not going checking Conference League. I cannot be bothered. In terms of international tournaments then. 3 World Cups for England and 4 Euros in the entire experiment. Then we have got Germany won the first World Cup, then 3 for France. Portugal, Italy, Denmark, where England came run-up a couple of times, then twice in a row England were runner-up. Wait until 2070 for the first win for England, then Norway, then England came runner-up again. England have come run-up a hell of a lot. Look at this. Runner-up of the World Cup 8 times. Won it twice. They got to the final 10 times in this experiment. In terms of the Euros, bit of a better time for England in the Euros. Only coming runner-up once, it appears. Whereas they've won it 4 times. Germany have won a few. I can see here Holland, Italy have been quite successful. You can see 3 there for Italy. France have won a few, as you'd expect. Norway again here, 2044. Belgium. Yeah, that's about it. Question everyone's lips then, has Ralph been in charge? I have to go back a long way. Of course he was. Of course he did. Gareth Southgate was sacked in 2024. Ralph came in. And he only won the bloody Euro, stayed there for over 6 years, and he resigned. Ralph Hasenhüttl said, I am out of here. And then he left. And he had a brief spell in charge of France. But Ralph Hasenhüttl won the Euros for England. Go on, Ralph. Zinedine Zidane was also manager. Michael Carrick came in for just over a year. James Garner, who played in Saudi Arabia for the majority of his career. Well, that's it, gang. That is the end of the experiment. I just wanted to see what might happen if you change the status quo of the stadiums. And it didn't disappoint, did it? I don't know quite what I expected. I hoped some more Vanarama National League teams would get up the leagues, but it turns out they just moved out of all their stadiums. So once that happened, it was always going to be academic. That was just going to sort of remain the same. The odd team might sort of break out and break forward, but nothing major. In terms of the Premier League, then I think it changed up with the winners, the teams dominating, but that happens quite often anyway. I think the stadium situation didn't have that much of a massive impact. So all in all, can't garner much from it in the slightest. But I hope you've had a good time. I had a good time making it. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, and didn't even do a promo mid video for all this jazz. So you better still be watching. You better like it. You better subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below any ideas you'd like to see for experiments on the channel. I've got lots more coming and lots of suggestions from you guys, so thank you very much. I'm getting through them. Trust me, I am getting through them. You've seen it on the channel already. There's more coming. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll hopefully see you very soon.